So by this point, you've probably heard of the tabletop role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. You've tried your hand at consuming actual play content like Critical Role, Dimension 20, High Rollers, or NADPOD. Maybe you even purchased the player's handbook, but you're still not sure if you should play or not. Well, I'm here to convince you that this game is right for anyone. To start, let me introduce myself. Hi, my name is Rob Brown. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm 27 years old. I've been playing D&D since I was 10, although I maybe didn't know all of the rules and I didn't really ever have anyone to play with for basically the entire time that I played. But I've been playing in earnest for the last 4 years. I specialize in running games for first-time players, and my goal is to share this game with everyone, as well as to remove the intimidation typically associated with learning the game. In order to prepare for this video, I reached out to a few of my former first-time players and asked them a couple of questions, specifically about D&D and their experience with it. But rather than reading you the answers over and over again, I'd like to highlight the good and discuss the bad. So, starting with the good, I asked my players what did they enjoy about their first experience playing D&D. Overall, it seems like everyone was excited to try something new. This style of game allows for a ton of creative freedom, which is a blessing to some and a curse to others. But it also allows you to think more about what your character wants and what else you can do. Plus, everyone likes using their imagination to figure out the next step. A lot of people compare D&D to RPG video games like The Witcher or Fallout. But the biggest difference is that in video games, all of the choices that you make and all of the people, places, and things that you interact with are predetermined. So while you still have a choice, it's more like an illusion of choice. And then we have D&D, where the only limit is what you can think of. Curious what's behind that tavern? Take a look! Can you persuade the bard to sing Ariana Grande? Just ask. Which of these NPCs are romanceable? Only one way to find out. Basically, you can treat your role-playing in D&D like a daydream. Sure, there might be consequences for your characters, but at least you tried being funny, mean, bold, or any other way you can think of interacting with the world. Moving on, next I asked them about what they didn't like about their experience playing D&D. Okay, so there's a learning curve. If there are too many other players, it's hard to stay focused. And when it comes to role-playing, some characters might make it hard to enjoy by hogging the limelight. This is where finding the right group comes in handy, as well as finding the right DM, or Dungeon Master. Awkward moments happen, and learning a new game is difficult, especially one with so many rules like this. But with the right people supporting you, it's literally impossible to fail. So finally, I asked whether or not they would want to play again. D&D isn't for everyone, and that's okay. This video isn't me telling you that as soon as you start, you have to keep playing for the rest of your life. It's great to try something new, and if you love it, awesome. And if you don't, well, at least you experienced it. Some people get a lot from the game. The friendship, the emotions, the ability to be vulnerable or different without fear of judgment. I know that's what I love the most about it. The ability to talk about things that I might not mention otherwise. Using the mask of a character to make speaking my mind easier. And this isn't speculation either. There's real science to back it up. Yes, I did find real science for D&D. Are you surprised? I'm not. So way back in 2013, there was a research study that aimed to see if certain human needs could be met through tabletop role-playing games. As you can see here, in this report, it was found that D&D chained out fantasy themes related to democracy, friendship, extraordinary experiences, and ethics. Not surprisingly, these themes resonate within Western rhetorical visions and work as legitimizers during public address and mass media messages. Allow me to explain. Because this game relies on the party structure, everyone at the table has a voice, and they must figure out together what works best for the party. In this article from American Libraries, librarians running Dungeons & Dragons games remotely attest to its ability to build community during this time of isolation. This highlights how even through these past couple years of the pandemic, people are discovering the game and staying connected. But that's not all. The game offers more than just a social outlet. Math, storytelling, acting, players develop a variety of skills. They're also learning teamwork, and they gain confidence. So obviously there's more to this game than just pretending to be an elf rogue seeking to avenge the death of his father who died at the hands of a corrupted king. There are real life lessons that you learn and you don't even realize that you're learning them. Now I doubt that my personal story is going to convince you any more than these scientific research articles are, but this is a game about storytelling and having new experiences, so let's see. What D&D has done for me is it's allowed me to be myself. And no, I don't mean in the cheesy, no one knows what it's like to be me. I mean literally. You see, I grew up in Texas. I was put on a college football training regimen when I was 10 years old, and I had to hide anything that would single me out. Bullies were rampant, and if you didn't fit in, you were targeted. So, like many others, I was in the closet. Being gay was an insult used in locker rooms, and if you actually were, then you were subject to unspeakable things, even from some of the faculty. But while I was in that closet, I decided to hide some things there. Comic books, Power Ranger toys, manga, fantasy novels, my Sailor Moon wand, and of course, Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition. I should also mention that I mean literally and figuratively in the closet. I'd sit in the closet for like hours making D&D characters or reading comic books. I remember before middle school, it seemed like everybody was down to play pretend. And then everyone decided one day that that wasn't cool anymore. And no one told me. So I had to quickly learn how to hide it. Just like I was hiding who I am. So, after high school, I continued to carry unmarked boxes everywhere that I moved, and I never let anyone see them. Until the first Iron Man movie. When that came out, all my friends were talking about comic books and superheroes. So I brought out one box of my comic books. And I got to share them with my friends, and they talked about how cool they were and how awesome it was that I had all these things. Which is great, comics are cool now. And I was nervous, but super excited to share my collection with other people. And then anime all of a sudden took off. I swear I remember bringing up like Inuyasha and Toonami and having people be like, what, it's not Dragon Ball Z? That's insulting, I like Dragon Ball Z too. But it became something that more people enjoyed, and they were even playing it in movie theaters. So I brought out my manga. I did leave the Sailor Moon one though, and I showed them where anime got its source material. Then, on one fateful day, one of my friends mentioned Dungeons & Dragons, a game they had heard of, but had never played or considered playing. And one or two of those friends was interested, so I said, we should try it. So we picked up this 5th edition starter set, and we played. I played a tiefling sorcerer named Tag. It was my first time playing since I was 10, and so I quickly started helping the others and giving them my hints and ideas about what to do next. It was an invigorating experience, and my friends were excited that I seemed to have a grasp on how to make the game fun. That gave me a huge confidence boost. So, one day we were introduced to a retired knight named Sildar, and I decided to risk it and flirt with him. Tag was a man as well. To my surprise, no one at the table even batted an eye or said anything or looked any type of way about it. So at the end of that session, when the DM asked if we wanted Sildar to fight alongside us in this final battle, I of course said yes, and that my character was in love with him. Now I didn't think twice about it in the moment, but when I got home, I felt some weird sense of relief. And I like did that classic movie moment of like putting your back against the wall and crying and then sliding down like this. It was strange because I didn't really understand why that was happening or why I felt that way. So at the end of that final battle, I came out to my friends. I was in character, but they knew I was talking about both Tag and me. And they said all the right things, all of the most perfect things that could have comforted me in that moment and made me feel so sure about things. And they did it in their characters' voices. So that was the first time I ever felt like myself, ever, in my entire life. Playing a half-demon with magic powers. I know, it's cheesy and it's awkward, and it still took me years to become confident and comfortable as I am now. But what D&D did was it helped me discover who I wanted to be, instead of thinking about what other people wanted me to be. Listen, there are a million stories that I alone could tell about how D&D changed my life or how it made an impact on somebody else's life. And also why I think everyone should at least try this game once in their life. But this video is already so much longer than I originally thought it was going to be. So if you made it to the end of this video, then this is your sign. You should go out and play D&D. Reach out to your local game store, see if they have any games happening. Reach out to your library. Some of them offer different online options for you. Or even your school, if you're still in school. You absolutely could start a club, a tabletop role-playing game club, or even just a board game club where you can connect with these other people, and lots of other games have opportunity for roleplay as well. Just D&D seems to be the one that's the most accessible for everyone. Plus, as this game is getting more and more popular each year, the ease of access to finding games and finding people who are willing to play goes up along with it. There are more opportunities now than ever before. In my next video, I'm going to talk about Session 0 and why you should have one, as well as what a Session 0 is. But I hope that this video helped you realize that role-playing is for anyone, and each game can be tailor-suited to you, but it's also okay if you try it and you don't like it. But if you've been wondering if you should, go out and play it. Just try it. Well, man, this video turned out so much longer than I thought it was going to be, but thank you guys so much for watching. I plan on putting more Dungeons & Dragons content out in the future, so feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do the whole thing. Also, if you have a first-time experience playing D&D, and it's good or bad, put it in the comments below. I want to hear about it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Happy playing!